just wasn't a good relationship for me. It didn't have so much to do with him as it had to do with me at the time. I had to learn to care about myself a little bit more and put up certain boundaries of what I would accept and what.
She had a gun in her pocketbook. She had gunshot residue on her hands the night that Natanya was shot.
Jennifer Lopez isn't sitting this one out anymore. Nope. She's no longer just the ex in Diddy's rearview mirror. She's now being pulled directly into one of the most explosive RICO trials the entertainment world has ever seen. And not, as a side note, but as someone who might have played a major role, the federal government has cracked open a case that's already left Hollywood on edge. And guess who just got subpoenaed? Jennifer Lopez. Yes, the J-Lo. The dancer, singer, actress, and global brand who built her image on hard work and staying above the drama. But now, that polished image is being questioned. Why? Because newly resurfaced footage and old allegations are placing her right in the middle of Diddy's alleged criminal network. This all goes back to that infamous 1999 nightclub shooting, the night both J-Lo and Diddy were arrested. Remember that? They were questioned, and then J-Lo seemingly walked away without a scratch. But now, that clean break is looking a lot messier. According to fresh reports, J-Lo wasn't just Diddy's date that night. She might have been helping run the operation from the inside. Witnesses and documents are piling up, and the claims are intense. That she allegedly brought the weapon into the club. And when the chaos exploded, she was the one who tossed the gun out the window as they made their getaway. That's not just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's active involvement, if even half of it's true. And let's talk about her silence all these years. People assumed she just moved on. But what if that silence wasn't innocent? What if it was strategic? Back then, J-Lo and Diddy were the power couple. Fame, influence, and money, they had it all. And when you've got that kind of spotlight, hiding things becomes surprisingly easy. But now, the spotlight's back, and this time, it's uncovering everything. More than 2 decades have passed since that infamous 1999 nightclub shooting, but the past isn't done with Jennifer Lopez just yet. What went down that night is no longer just a distant memory. It's back, front and center, and now J-Lo is being pulled into the storm. Let's not forget, someone was shot that night, a woman named Natanya. She survived a bullet wound, but her story? Swept under the rug. The people around her? Silenced. And through it all, J-Lo never once spoke out. No interviews, no sympathy, no acknowledgement, just silence. All these years, she's played the role of the innocent bystander, the young star who got caught up in a mess that wasn't hers. But if that's the case, why didn't she ever say something? Why does her silence still feel so calculated? There's an old clip where Jennifer is asked directly about that night, about the reports of a woman tossing a weapon from the car. She laughs, calls it ridiculous, keeps it moving. But now, knowing what we know that response feel, rehearsed, too polished, too perfect.
For all we know, that bullet came from the gun that was in her hand. And not once has she spoken up for the betterment of that woman. Not once has she donated to her family or for her medical bills that she's still paying, or say something in her defense to stop Puffy from gaslighting her.
And let's not forget the infamous line she once dropped, that her relationship with Diddy ended with a bang. At the time, people brushed it off as drama. But in hindsight, that word choice feels chilling. With federal prosecutors now reopening the case under the RICO Act, the stakes are higher than ever. They don't need to prove she was the mastermind, just that she played a role in a criminal enterprise. Even carrying a weapon, helping Diddy flee, or staying silent while others were silenced, that's enough to get pulled in. What makes it worse is the comparison between J-Lo's silence and Cassie Ventura's courage. Cassie, who risked everything to speak out, who was doubted, dragged, and discredited, yet stood her ground. J-Lo had the platform, the power, the voice, and she chose silence. Was it fear, self-preservation, or something more? Because if even a piece of these claims is true, this isn't just about J-Lo protecting her image. It's about her possibly being part of the machine and not a bystander. And in the end, one thing's for sure. The truth always comes out. One of the most chilling details from Cassie's statement, Diddy forced her to hold his arm in public. Not a sweet gesture, not a couple's habit. It was control. A performance for the cameras. And when you go back and look at photos of J-Lo and Diddy from the late 90s, it's eerily similar. She's always holding on to him. At the time, it looked like love. Now, it looks like coercion in designer heels. Cassie's been brave enough to expose the system she was trapped in a relationship built on manipulation, contracts, and fear. She signed a 10-album deal under Bad Boy Records, and only one album ever saw the light of day. That wasn't a music career, it was a cage. Diddy reportedly dictated every part of her life, where she lived, who she worked with, even who she slept with. And if she pushed back, the punishment was swift, brutal, documented. Cassie feared for her life, not just because of his power, but because she'd seen what happened to people who didn't play by his rules. Now, think about J-Lo. She walked away, built an empire, and branded herself as the girl who rose above. But not once has she acknowledged what really went on. Not in an interview, not in a documentary, not in a lyric. Silence. And then there's the 1999 nightclub shooting. Netanya was shot. A weapon was tossed from the car. A witness saw a female hand do it. And the only woman in that car? J-Lo. When asked, she brushed it off as ridiculous. No pause, no empathy, just a practiced denial. And now with Cassie, speaking her truth, that silence feels less like survival and more like complicity. Cassie is finally confirming what many have whispered for years. Diddy had a pattern, a disturbing one. According to her, he made women carry his guns into clubs, knowing they were less likely to be searched. It wasn't random, it was strategy. And if J-Lo followed that same script, then maybe she wasn't just along for the ride, maybe she was playing a role. If prosecutors connect her actions to that pattern, she could face charges under RICO, the same law used to take down organized crime rings. But it goes deeper than weapons. Cassie says Diddy used wealth and fear to trap her, isolating her, flying her to remote places, cutting her off from everyone even threatening her family, and when authorities raided his Miami mansion, what they found sounded like something from a psychological thriller. Weapons, disguises, hidden recordings, all of it lining up with Cassie's story. So where does J-Lo fit in all of this? She built a career on being a strong woman, a survivor. But while women like Cassie and Nada, the woman injured in that 1999 shooting, suffered in silence, J-Lo walked away, stayed quiet, and thrived. She even starred in Enough, a film about escaping abuse, all while never acknowledging the real-life trauma unfolding behind the scenes. Now, her name keeps popping up in testimonies, documents, and footage. She hasn't been charged yet, but the dots are connecting. And here's the thing. Silence, when you know the truth, isn't innocence. It's complicity. We're diving deep into Sean Combs' empire, Bad Boy Records, Sean John, his liquor lines, clubs, fashion deals, reality shows. On the surface, totally legit. But behind the scenes, the feds are zeroing in on alleged manipulation, coercion, and exploitation. And here's the thing. If just one part of that massive empire was used for shady business, that's all prosecutors need to bring the whole operation down. And Jennifer Lopez, she wasn't some distant bystander. She was in the room from the very beginning, witnessing major moves, decisions, even cover-ups. She saw bodies being moved, lawyers getting called, stories being rewritten. This isn't wild speculation anymore. We're talking hard facts from credible sources. Legal experts say prosecutors don't have to prove J-Lo pulled a trigger. Under RICO, if she helped enable, covered up, or knew about criminal actions and stayed silent, that's enough. This is the same playbook used against mob bosses and white-collar criminals, now aimed squarely at the entertainment world because no one's untouchable. Remember the 1999 shooting case? Witness lists leaked too early, memories conveniently erased, charges dropped. But this time, the feds aren't playing games. Witness lists are secret, and Diddy's team keeps getting blindsided by unexpected testimonies. Every new name that steps forward pulls back the curtain on how far this network of silence really goes. Cassie's testimony painted a chilling picture. Abuse wasn't random, it was orchestrated like a twisted production, with cameras, costumes, and scripts. She wasn't just a victim, she was controlled, her image and story manipulated. Even those closest to Diddy, assistants, bodyguards, stylists, tell a similar story. It starts glamorous, then slowly turns dark. The message is clear. Don't speak unless spoken to, obey, or disappear. And when J.Lo once said her breakup with Diddy ended with a bang, people laughed it off. Now, that bang wasn't just a breakup line, it was a gunshot, a nightclub crime scene, a frantic cover-up. Was she warning us all along, or just betting the truth would never catch up? One thing's certain, the internet hasn't forgotten. Social media is digging up old clips, analyzing interviews, calling her out. Her silence? Not strength, not courage, just survival. The kind that protects a career, not the truth. Now, Jennifer Lopez isn't just a singer or actress anymore. She's a full-blown brand. Beauty lines, fashion deals, Netflix specials. She's built an empire that thrives on a carefully crafted image. And scandals? She can't afford them. No amount of PR or glam squad magic can scrub away certain stains once the law comes knocking. So, here's the question everyone's asking. If J.Lo really had nothing to do with the chaos, if she was just a scared, young woman caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, then why hasn't she ever said a word for the other women? Not now, when survivors like Cassie are risking it all to speak out. No public support, no donations, not even a simple acknowledgement. That silence speaks volumes. It feels like she's still trying to distance herself, to erase any link to the storm Diddy created even though she was right there in the thick of it. And let's be real, the world doesn't forget. We live in an age of digital footprints. Old footage, resurfaced tweets, leaked audio, all waiting to be dug up. With the pressure mounting and Diddy's empire unraveling, everyone connected to him is under the microscope. No more looking away, no more pretending this doesn't affect you. If J.Lo ends up testifying whether by choice or subpoena, the internet will blow up. The truth isn't hidden anymore. It's blasting through courtrooms, social media, and survivor testimonies. This is just the start. While other women risk their names, their safety, and their careers to come forward, J.Lo remains silent. No statements, no interviews, no social media nods to survivors. That silence, it's starting to look less like caution and more like complicity. Not necessarily legal guilt, but moral, ethical, human guilt. She's always been the queen of control, reinvention, curated moments, perfect headlines. But now, that polished image is cracking under pressure, and the world is watching. Remember this, Jennifer Lopez knew. She was there in the club, in the car, in the middle of it all. She saw the warning signs, held the red flags, and is even rumored to have tossed the weapon. Then, when things spiraled out of control, she vanished from the story and rebranded herself as Hollywood royalty. But the truth keeps coming out. Take Misa Hilton, Diddy's ex and mother of his child. Once a top stylist in hip-hop, she ended up homeless, sleeping in her car while Diddy flaunted billions. There are even reports of him beating her so badly she hid under a car, yet she still shows up in court by his side. Is it loyalty? Trauma? Fear? This isn't just about one abuser. It's about the system protecting him. The powerful who stayed, silent and benefited from it. If J.Lo had spoken up back in '99, could lives have been saved? Cassie didn't enter Diddy's world until 2005, 6 years after that shooting. Yet J.Lo stayed quiet, starred in a movie about abuse, and let the silence continue. Now, with subpoenas on the table, if J.Lo is called to testify, it will shake the world, because silence might protect you for a while, but it never protects you forever.